When hope is gone, undo this lock and send me forth on a moonlit walk. Release restraint level 0. Hey kids, wanna see a dead body?
Hi guys, this is the Void of the Ravenclaw. Welcome back to another fanfiction story. If you like this type of content, smash the like button and subscribe for future videos and updates that I do post on my community tab frequently. If you want access to any of my early content, check out the Discord. This is the bargain between an evil god and a villain, part 11. Now this part is going to be a tad bit shorter than my usual. To let you guys know ahead of time, I'm thinking it'll probably be around 30 minutes, maybe a little over. It all depends, really. Anyways, let's continue where we last left off in our story. After he dealt with the large skeleton warrior, he continued on his path, examining all the carving on the side of the wall of the wide hallway, like he's in a museum in an exhibit. The long hallway led him to a large chamber. Izuku looked around the large chamber for any hidden dangers. He saw the door on the other side of the chamber, but he has to get past the oversized scorpion guarding the door in the distance. Even from the distance, he could tell the scorpion is huge. Well, this is going to be interesting. Izuku did not approach the huge scorpion. He decided to get a better viewpoint of the entire chamber by jumping on one of the pillars to get a better view of the area. The chamber itself is large as a small town, so the scorpion hasn't noticed his presence yet. But he did notice the skeleton warriors patrolling around the chamber, around the streets of this little city. They're clearly staying away from the scorpion, either by instinct or by design. He's uncertain. But he locked that information for later, as he gazed at every object in the chamber. Stone pillars, smaller buildings made out of pure stone, scattered all around the chamber. If he didn't know he was in an ancient temple, he would believe he was in some sort of city. Izuku tilted his head to the side as the arrow fly past, mere inches away from his face. I see, as he leaped off the pillar and made his way over towards the archers on one of the building's roofs. He used the nearby building walls to leap from wall to wall until he made it to the roof, and ran his bone dagger that he created in mid-thrust into the chest of the skeleton archer, piercing the skeleton's core. Izuku spun around and begins to engage the rest of the skeletons and begin to dodge around the arrows being fired upon him by the other skeleton archers that was alerted to his presence. Izuku noticed a large group of skeleton archers are approaching, too many to deal with all at once, so he decided to retreat for now, as he created a medium-sized blaster skull and unleashed a beam of energy in a swipe attack pattern. Izuku used the distraction to enter one of the buildings from the second story by flying into a window while his Gaster Blaster is demonstrating his devastating beam attack of energy that shot like a laser beam instead of a single shot and a wide sweep. Once his job was successfully accomplished, it dissipated into bone particles. Luckily, this whole chamber is illuminated by glowing crystals on the ceiling of the chamber, giving him plenty of light to use. This whole thing would have been a whole lot difficult if he had to do this in pure darkness. But clearly, this entire chamber is well guarded. Izuku decided to pace himself instead of running blindly. He clearly has the power to do so, but that would only tire him out. He needs to conserve as much energy as humanly possible. Izuku was broken out of his inner thoughts by the sounds of battle, as he peeked through one of the windows to see several lizard men engage in combat with the skeleton warriors and skeleton archers. Interesting. I'm not alone in this temple. It looks like the same creatures that were on that ship. Lizard people. Interesting. Now that I have a chance to get a better look at them. Okay, Izuku, we're in a large chamber filled with skeleton warriors and archers and lizardmen. And that's not even including the giant scorpion. I've clearly been idle for far too long. Frontal attack would be suicidal, as all those different type of enemies. So guerrilla warfare it is. I need to clear them out before I challenge this oversized scorpion on steroids. But before that, I'll shadow the lizardmen for a little bit. I'm curious. Izuku leap out of the window and use a nearby pillar to jump onto the roof. As he spotted a large group of lizardmen. The lizardmen are humanoid in nature, human-looking bodies, but with scales and a lizard head. Izuku shadowed the lizardmen, watching every move they make. Interesting. They're clearly here scavenging for resources, most likely looking for anything valuable that isn't nailed down to the ground. The small group of lizardmen that he's been following were immediately engaged by a group of skeleton warriors. Izuku originally considered the lizardmen to be non-threats. That's why he was quite surprised as he watched the lizardmen easily take out the skeletons. Easily identifying their weakness and eliminating them with brutal efficiency. Izuku jumped down right in the middle of their skirmish. Izuku easily took out his first opponent as he threw a bone dagger at a charging skeleton or charging lizard man that was heading towards his direction, piercing its heart, killing it instantly. Then he spun around and blocked a blade coming his way with his other bone dagger. Well, I gotta say, Gekko, you've been promoted to non-threat to a threat. Congratulations. The Blaster Skull was created in front of him and unleashed a powerful blast of green energy, engulfing the entire street. When the beam receded, the hovering Blaster Skull dissipated. There was nothing left but burnt pieces of metal from their weapons, scattered all around the floor or the street. But he couldn't celebrate for long. The noise from his battle attracted more nearby skeleton warriors and lizard men alike. So instead of facing one type of threat, now he's facing two. Apparently I'm quite popular today. Alright, come on, let's see what you got. Izuku charged forward. Izuku begins to dodge and weave around all of the attacks from the skeleton warriors and lizard men. It was easy for him to do so. Half the time, the skeleton and lizard men were fighting each other, so it gave him plenty of opportunities to thin out their numbers. When their numbers were thin enough, Izuku withdrew and moved to a different location of the chamber and attacked and retreated using the same method, using hit and run tactics, trying to thin out their numbers further. After all, he doesn't want to... Oh, give me a second, guys. After all, he doesn't want anyone or anything interrupt his battle with the oversized scorpion. The large scorpion is going to be hard to deal with itself, and adding a group of skeleton lizardmen, making the battle far more difficult than it needs to be. Izuku spent a few hours using hit and run tactics. Everything was going smoothly, a little too smoothly for his liking, and his suspicions were warranted. When he took out a small group of skeleton warriors and a few lizardmen, then things got a little more interesting, as several skeleton scorpions burst through the ground, about the size of a car. Things were going a little too easy for me. I've never seen you guys before. Skeleton scorpions. I shouldn't be too surprised. Izuku immediately started to dodge around the scorpion stingers from their tail being launched at him simultaneously. Keeping him on his toes, he made sure to stay away from those very sharp and strong-looking pinchers. He has no doubt they could probably break bone quite easily. He doesn't think he'll be able to break his bones, but he'd rather not test that theory. And he was right. One of the skeleton warriors, caught in mid-air... Well, sorry, not skeleton warriors. The skeleton scorpions caught a airborne lizard man in mid-air that jumped from one of the roofs of the building, as it was caught by one of the pinchers, cutting the lizard men in half. Mental note, stay away from those. Izuku leaped backwards as a female figure in a cloak fell from the sky and landed in the middle of the skeleton scorpions. Sorry guys, I forgot I didn't have it on pause. Izuku at this point was ready for conflict, as he had two bone daggers in his hands, as he met her clashes with his own, as her sword collided with his bone weapon, as sparks were being created. For once he's having to pay attention over this female figure who is extremely skilled. After they rushed towards each other, dodging, blocking each other's attack, the cloak figure kicked Izuku in the chest, sending him skidding backwards as she threw off her cloak, revealing a dark elf with a grin on her face. Well, what do we got here? Human? Haven't seen one of your kind around these parks in a couple decades. Wonder what a human's doing here. Very interesting. But you're not too bad. Pretty good for a human. I like that. As she rushed forward, Izuku found her skills to be quite adequate, quite challenging. He clearly knows she's good. He barely had enough time to react by blocking another attack from her sword. Izuku's quite amazed by the artificial intelligence of this PC, or NPC. He knows, in reality, this woman is all data, but the fact that she was implementing such intelligence and strategies impressed him. Now he knows why his aunt said this program is a lot more complex. It's like he's walking into a fantasy world that he would read about in manga or video games. As they continue their battle, traveling through the city, as their battle took them further into the city, clashing while they're walking into the street of the ancient city inside the ancient tomb. As their blades collide with each other, eventually Elijah threw his right bone dagger at his opponent, surprising the female dark elf, but she easily redirected it with her blade as she watched her opponent create a long black bone sword, basically a katana, as he threw his other dagger at a charging lizardman from behind without even looking back. That's an interesting little trick you have there. I knew coming to this damn tomb wouldn't be boring. As they charge towards each other, as their blades begin to grind against each other in a power struggle. They both try to overpower each other by pushing their blade further. As the female elf and Izuku begin to grind their blades further, as they have a grin on their face at the same time. Ooh, I like you. What's your name, human? Izuku? I'm Vex, by the way. Pleasure to meet you. They both jump backwards at the same time, disengaging their power struggle with their blades. As much as I would love to continue our little dance, Izuku, I'm on a mission. Work before pleasure. I'm guessing you're here for a reason. That I am. Elf. Let's discuss this further inside. I would rather not get ambushed by mere skeletons or those revolting lizardmen. Sure, why not? Izuku followed the dark elf into one of the buildings. I gotta say, I'm quite curious why you're here. You're not after money. You don't seem to be that sort of type. You don't have that bandit aura of you. You're skilled, and you came here alone. I know a warrior when I see one, and you're one deadly warrior. Only outside of the monsters in this town, there's treasure and all that. But I believe you're after something specific. Ah, now I get it. You're after the spider orb. That is quite correct. You're very observant to come up with that so fast. What about you? Little old me? I'm just hunting a corrupted monster that resides in this tomb. I have no doubt. It is the reason why the skeletons are so hostile. What do you mean? This temple has been used to challenge programs or warriors to acquire that very same orb you're seeking. They normally don't attack unless you're taking the trial, and the fact they've been attacking anyone that even get close to the tomb. That's not including the fact that the spider populations have been a lot more hostile. Don't get me wrong, those man-eating spiders are predators, but they normally leave anyone that enters through the cave alone. They normally don't initiate conflict. I'm here to investigate the cause of the erratic behavior of the monsters and eliminate the source. How about this? You help me and I'll help you. Why would you want to help me? I took a liking to you. And to have someone skilled and competent to watch my back is a plus. And how do you know I won't stab you in your back? I don't. That's what makes it so exciting. Vex pulled out some rations and she made back in the village and handed over some and throw him some water. Here, you might need this. As she tossed him a canteen, a extra she had. Thanks. Ezekiel begins to unravel the food that's wrapped in some sort of leaf he's never seen before, revealing some sort of bread. He took a bite. It was extremely good. He had no problem eating the food. Alright, come on, partner. We've been idle for far too long. Partners, are we? Izuku chuckled, but followed her nevertheless. Vex and Izuku begin to lay waste to any of the nearby skeletons and remaining lizardmen until the numbers were too thin, so they barely notice any more. They could tell there's more in the chamber, but they're too thin to worry about. There were barely any skeletons left, so they decided to shift their main attention towards the huge scorpion. As they eventually got to the steps leading towards the plateau where the scorpion is guarding the door, as it begins to climb the steps, eventually getting to the top of the plateau, where the scorpion is on large stone floor that looks like arena grounds. The moment they stepped onto the arena ground, the scorpion became active and began to get ready to attack as it got into a hostile posture. Izuku and Vex get ready to attack. Vex was the first one to make the first move as she rushed forward. As the scorpion tried to sting her with his stinger by lashing its tail towards her, Vex sidestepped and rushed forward without breaking any momentum, as the scorpion tail and stinger slammed into the ground, breaking the tile ground in the process. But Vex never stopped charging and swung her sword at one of the legs of the scorpion, only for the scorpion armor of its outer shell to tank the attack without making any signified damage. Vex proceeded to do a backflip as the scorpion pinchers tried to snag her in his pinchers. As Vex landed on the ground on her feet, quietly, then she immediately started to shoot out fireballs from her free hand at the scorpion. The scorpion was too distracted. It didn't notice Izuku jumping on his back and created a bone spear in his free hand and thrust it into the back of the scorpion, only for the weapon to shatter from the rock-like outer shell of its skin. The scorpion's stinger thrust towards, trying to get Izuku off its back. Izuku noticed the danger he's in and ran along the back of the scorpion and leaped up and disappeared in a flash step, reappearing right beside Vex. That outer layer of that scorpion, outer shell, is quite tough. That's typical of that species, of this species of this scorpion. It's the biggest I've seen them in person. I've only heard rumors they get this big. Stories, you know. They normally don't get this big. It sure gets well fed. The lower belly is the weak spot, but getting underneath it is going to be difficult. Can you distract it while I get underneath his belly? I'll give you a distraction, alright. As Izuku walked past Vex and stomped his foot on the ground, as bone spikes shoot from the ground, actually making solid hits on his belly, making the scorpion screech out, as beginning to move wildly in pain, throwing his pinchers around, trying to hit Izuku, who's dodging the best to his ability, as a large scorpion was about the size of a small building, so it was towering over him. It was a big opponent for him to take on. Izuku continued to create bone spikes, either from creating them from the ground or created them in front of him, and launching them forward at the Scorpion. Meanwhile, Vex is hacking and slashing away from underneath the belly of the Scorpion. Izuku and Vex felt something off. They immediately canceled their assault. It's a good thing they did, as something came crashing down from the ceiling into the chamber, breaking through from the upper floor of the temple. Izuku noticed the large black armor figure falling down from the ceiling, aiming right for the Scorpion. Izuku knew Vex wasn't going to make it. She was not fast enough. Izuku flash step next to her. He wrapped his arm around her waist and flash step a bit away from the Scorpion, as the falling figure came crashing down, slamming its huge sword into the Scorpion's back. As the Scorpion wildly lashed out and hissed out in pain from his body being penetrated by the humongous sword. The humongous, corrupted living armor picked up its sword while the Scorpion was still impaled and swung its blade as the Scorpion was yanked off of its blade and came falling from the top of the plateau of where they are, slamming onto the ground dead. Izuku watched the blade of the living armor change size to a more smaller size. It's still insanely big, but is shrinking, including the living armor itself is shrinking to human size. Well, human size, but still towers over them. What the hell is that? That's a living armor. It's clearly been corrupted. It's not the source of the corruption, but it's clearly been touched by it. Be careful. It has a core, but with living armor like this, you can never tell where it's at. Be on guard. This one seems to be able to shift its size. As the giant living armor begins to fully shrink into a more human-sized figure, still towering over them both, still large by comparison. The corrupted curse armor, or living armor, charged forward with his blade in hand, and that's where we're going to stop it. I'll catch you guys in the next part.